If you're a marketer, a salesperson, a founder, anyone who is trying to grow their business, one of the things you spend a lot of your time doing is creating presentations. What if I told you you could create a world-class presentation with a couple of prompts each and every time for whatever kind of talk you are given, for whatever kind of deck you need? That is the promise of this show. Create a world-class presentation with a couple of prompts and an AI tool, and you can do all of it and learn all of it in under 20 minutes. Let's get into today's show. Okay, presentations is such an important part of all of our jobs that we are going back to do a second part of an episode that Kip started with an AI tool called GenSpark. Now, Kip all showed you how GenSpark worked in that episode, but what I want to do is actually build upon what Kip did and actually show you how you can use GenSpark plus O3 to create pretty incredible presentations each and every time you want to do it for whatever kind of presentation you want. And actually, this episode is inspired by O3 Opus 4, Claude's new model, and GenSpark. And what I'm going to show you is how you can ask AI, first of all, to craft the perfect prompt for you based upon whatever type of presentation you want to do. Maybe you want to do a product positioning deck. Maybe you want to do a startup pitch. Maybe you want to do a presentation to tell your CEO how marketing is going. Whatever it may be, this prompt will construct another prompt that will create that deck for you. So if you're trying to create the perfect product positioning deck, you'll get a prompt to do that. If you're trying to create the perfect internal update around your marketing strategy, you'll get the prompt to be able to do that. If you're trying to create the perfect pitch for your startup, you'll get a prompt that will allow you to do that. And I'm going to take you through an example of how we do this, show you all of the different prompts, and hopefully have a really great time. So let's do this. We're going to jump straight into the actual prompt, and then we're going to go into how to use it. So let's just actually show the prompt first. I'm going to start showing these things in Google Docs because I think it's much easier to see. What the prompt basically does is it sets the context. It basically tells the AI, you are an expert in marketing presentation strategist. I have specifically really tailored this for marketeers, but again, when you see these prompts, you can edit it for whatever your needs are. And basically the task is to help marketers create presentations from following proven frameworks from the best practitioners in the field. And there's three core phases that the AI will go through in this single prompt. First of all, it would allow the marketer to select the presentation they want. And so in Kip's, he kind of showed you how to create presentations based upon style guides, how you could actually incorporate your brand style guide and then give it some data, and it will create a pretty great presentation from that data. We're going one step further here where you can actually pick any type of presentation you want, whether that's a product positioning presentation, a marketing strategy presentation. You go through here, you have a brand strategy presentation, a customer insight and research, a sales enablement presentation, which is pretty common, executive marketing update. So a lot of ones here, if you wanted to tailor this for your own needs, you can basically change whatever the presentation types are, give it a little bit of information. You can see here I've said things like the marketing strategy presentation is a strategic plan and budget allocation and channel strategy. So we give it a little bit of context of what each of those presentations are. That's the first phase. So the person can actually pick what presentation they want. Then we go into this part here. So the second phase is an expert framework research and principle generation. So what it does is once the user selects the presentation, it identifies some experts who are really great at that presentation type. It extracts their specific methodologies, it creates these guiding principles, and then maps those principles to the presentation structure. So again, what we're going to do here is pick a type of presentation. That's the first thing the AI is going to do. It's going to ask you to pick one. You're going to pick that presentation. Then it's going to say, okay, based upon what the user picked, I'm going to go and find people who are really good at crafting these types of presentations. I'm going to extract their methodologies and how they actually put together these presentations. Then I'm going to create some guiding principles, and then I'm going to map those principles to the presentation structure. We're going to show you all how this works now. And so I'll give you an example format of how I want that to look. And then the third phase is obviously to create the prompt. So this is a prompt that creates a prompt. So what this prompt is going to do, it's going to say, okay, well, you've given me this type of presentation you want. This is how you put together an incredible structure for that type of presentation based upon the best in class people who can do that. And now I'm going to give you back an exact prompt. You can just copy and paste, include your information, and it will create the entire outline for that presentation. How many times can I say presentation on a single podcast? So phase 3 is custom presentation creation prompt. So it will create a detailed prompt the marketer can use that references the specific expert frameworks. And I'm going to show you how this works. It's pretty cool. Apply each guiding principle to the presentation structure. Provide slide-by-slide guidance based on expert methodologies, including specific instructions for incorporating that user's content. So obviously you want to put in your own content to create the presentation from. I'm going to show you how you do that. And then I provide the final prompt structure. And so what we're going to do is go run this. Let's go run this. I have it run a bunch of times. I will change my screen. So I got caught last time. So we're going to go into ChatGPT and we are going to run this. Okay, we are ChatGPT. We're going to run this prompt. It will ask me to select what type of presentation I want. We're going to do I'm going to do an external one because it's hard to do internal ones live on here when I'm showing kind of HubSpot information. So we're going to do one for a company called Ramp. I'm going to show you how you can do one for any kind of brand if you're a consultant, but also pretty easy to replicate this for internal, right? I'll show you what I mean, but I'm getting the information I need externally, but you will get it internally because you'll probably be using it for your own company. So it says, great, get started, let's choose a presentation type. So we listed those already. So we're going to choose what are we going to choose here? Let's do the product launch presentation. Key business objective or decision you need to drive. I want to generate 30 new CFO leads within 30 days. Brand rules, slide limits, required formats. I will provide a brand style guide. So you can provide a style guide for GenSpark to follow. And we want the presentation to be under 20 minutes. Okay, so that ran for quite some time, around 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So what it gives you is, first of all, it starts by telling you what expert frameworks and guiding principles it's used. You can include these in the prompt to give additional context, but then it kind of synthesizes them here and how that's going to come to life in the different slides. So you can see here, it talks about Andy Raskin. He's slide 1 and 2. Then it talks a little bit about April Dunford around differentiated capabilities. Talks a little bit about Dunford and Dewady in terms of how you can prove ROI early and visually for slide 6. Talks about how you should focus on beachhead CFO segment and then present the whole product implementation and risk mitigation. Brian Balfour, show 4 fit alignment for scalable growth and validate with credible proof. And so then it creates the actual prompt, basically talks about how you can create a product launch presentation following these different guiding principles. You want to structure the presentation to use these expert-derived principles, and then it organizes these for you. Now, what I would say is, you can see it's organized them into 12 slides, and then giving me some information. It's obviously going to tell the AI to include the brand style guide I give it, because that's what I told it to do. Talks about the core narrative here, the metrics, brevity. You want to have 90 seconds per slide. So basically everything you need to create an outline for a deck based upon the content I'm going to give it. So I'm going to show you how that works now.
If you're like me, you love Claude AI, but most marketers out there are wasting its potential. Everyone's using Claude for kind of basic, out-of-the-box blog post writing with very low context and very bad prompts. Well, that's all going to change today because we've packaged over 60 advanced Claude prompts for you that are going to take your writing, your content creation, your marketing to the very next level. These things are a gold mine that everybody's really been missing out on. These aren't your beginner prompts. These are advanced expert prompts that are going to create content that's going to get people to stop scrolling and deeply engage. If you want the competitive edge and you want to get the most out of AI, this is the guide for you. So you can find it, click the link in the description below, or you can scan the QR code. Now back to today's show.
So now you have your prompt to create the perfect product launch slide deck. You obviously need some content. I'm going to give it a deep research project I did on Ramp. So here, this is going to create a deep research project on Ramp's new Ramp App Center. And so basically we'll do a deep research project and then create the ideal customer profile, the customer problem, the value proposition, differentiation, the category and competitive context, proof and social credibility, the message and architecture, and narrative spine. So basically it's going to create all of that for me from a deep research project, because I'm going to use that to create the slide deck based upon the prompt we just did. So hopefully you're following along, but you need some information. This will come from you. You'll have this internally, like you'll have a product positioning deck, which you'll use for your product launch deck, which we're creating. You'll have product positioning internal assets to create this from. I'm just showing you how you can do it externally because I'm not going to do it for HubSpot. And so we get this entire report back from deep research, which is actually pretty amazing. I went through it. It is a pretty incredible report using O3 deep research. And now we have this huge positioning report PDF for Ramp App Center. Now you can, to give a little bit of an example of how you could use this internally as well. So I have an enterprise version of Claude, which I do use as well. And so Claude has access to Asana, my calendar search, my Gmail search, my Google Drive, and web search. So pretty incredible, because what I can use Claude to do is create a research project across those channels and basically say, you are my AI chief of staff. I want you to, because what we're going to do here is create a marketing update for the HubSpot executive team, a presentation to show how things are going across demand gen. And it's going to scan my email inbox, Google Drive, Asana Workspace for any messages, docs, tasks, or comments related to demand generation initiatives between these dates. It's going to aggregate all of that together, have summary of progress broken down into key milestones achieved, the ongoing projects, the campaign performance, open questions, follow-ups needed, include the source, obviously, the date, person involved. If there are any conflicting updates across system, flag them in a separate section titled Inconsistencies to Review. So let's run this one. So this is an example of, now that these AI tools have access to my internal systems, I can quickly get the information I need here for certain updates and actually craft that into a presentation as well. So I wanted to show you that it's not just, the internal is just for illustration purposes. Most of the value is going to be from these internal presentations. I can show you, maybe I can do that one in parallel, but let's go back to the one that we are doing. Okay, you can see I took the prompt that I give us to create that deck. I have the deep research that I did on Ramp. Again, this is probably going to be, for the most part, when you're creating these kind of presentations, your internal information. I give it this style guide as well on how to recreate a Ramp's brand style guide, and we are going to run that just to show you what this how cool this Claude thing is. So you can see Claude now is going to use these custom integrations across all of these things to go pull the information we want. So we can actually create 2 slides as we go here, and off it goes. Pretty cool. Pretty cool way to research everything. We'll come back to that one, but I want to go back to the product positioning deck. If you're following along, we're creating 2 decks at once here. And so we have our outline for the launch deck here. I love that it puts it into Canvas, so obviously you can play around. You'll edit this. That's the one thing I always see people take the prompts and say, oh, like I'm in manufacturing, this didn't work perfectly for me. Yes, of course, because you're not a lazy marketer and just copy and paste in. You are using AI as a partner, and then you are building on top of it. So you would get your launch deck here, and then you can edit in Canvas to however you want. But you can see here what it's done is use the kind of guiding principles to construct an outline based upon the information that I give it about Ramp, so it's contextualized to that app. And it talks about the big change. It says the era of connected finance, from manual patching to real-time orchestrations. Talks about winners and losers. So it has some data in here, which is actually, maybe this will come out in the slide. It's not that easy to read, but it's pulled data from the deep research project I did. The promised land, it's got the bright here. You see this is dark because this is the setup, and then we go to the promised land, and it's bright because we are much more happy going to the promised land. Future state highlights, some of the highlights here on like why you want to get to that promised state, has some real stats here to sell that point. Obstacles, talks about the obstacles, talks about magic gifts and differentiators. This came from April Dunford. I will say this is new to me. I have not seen these kind of weird symbols. This is one of the problems of doing something live, demos live, but we'll see how that comes out in the presentation. Has the ROI snapshot, which is really good, has the beachhead focus it talked about. So again, has 12 really great slides for me to be able to build a presentation around. And because it's in Canvas, I can easily edit this. All you need to do now is edit it in Canvas, and then we are going to go to GenSpark. We're going to do a little magic here because we're going to pause, and I'm going to run it in GenSpark and come back because it will take a little bit of time. Okay, we're back. And so it's created the slide. So look how good this is. The old game is failing. What finances teams live with today is 40% of their time spent on data entry and recollection. Month-end close taking 10 plus days. Manual CSV exports. Hours of tedious work. So again, paints the old game as failing. Talks about the new game. A little bit of typo here that we can fix pretty easily. You can actually go into GenSpark. I can show you this really quickly actually because it's a cool little feature. You can basically go in and you can edit specific parts. So if I go to select to edit, and you can copy this here. And I wonder if I can just click what I find GenSpark does is it put rollovers. So it's put a rollover here that I can fix. I will fix, but I can't fix when you can't fix through this little select to edit here, which is really useful. I can just ask it to correct that. It will correct it if I just say, can you fix slide 7? Okay, we're going to go back to just to show you how good this is. So look how good this is. The early winners, customers who have already transformed their finance operations. So customer success stories. Again, some of these things you'll fill in with real data. You have to validate that it's picking the right data. In a lot of cases, it is picking the right data. It picks it from your customer case studies. But you want to just check here that it's true. The real competition isn't other fintech. This is pretty great, right? It's the status quo that's killing productivity. Your manual process, your point-to-point integrations, your legacy systems. I will next time remember, when I use GenSpark, I ask it not to put in rollovers or these kind of animations because I don't want that. I'll ask it to create as a static. It has the hidden cost of fragmentation. So look how good this is. The promised land, a world where your finance team operates at light speeds. Every financial transaction is automatically captured, categorized, and reconciled across your entire tech stack. Has real-time visibility, some nice little animations here. Automated workflows, so pretty cool stuff. Talks about specific use cases. So again, this is a product position and product launch deck that you can use for sales. You can use externally. If you want to jazz it up, you can do that. This is pretty cool. It's created some real... Okay, it's gone crazy on the animations. I've used GenSpark a lot, and I haven't seen it go so hard in the animations. Again, using the ramp brand style guide, I'm sure it's not exactly perfect because I took it from their website. I basically converted their website into a brand style guide, but I suspect it's nearly there. Built for the modern finance stack. Again, this is like pretty cool, right? Wow, look at this one. Live star moment, live demonstration. Talks about how you can do a live demonstration. Total time from purchase to books under 60 seconds. The proof is in performance. Wow, so good. Okay, well, just how good is this, right? Like we obviously haven't edited this because we don't know everything about this product from Ramp, but I suspect if you're a person doing a product launch deck, you are already 89% of the way there from 2 prompts. So that's like one type of slide deck that I ask it to create, the product positioning. Obviously, I can ask it to create any type of deck. So what GenSpark is actually making that edit. And so the reason that option I showed you is much better, where you can just select something to edit, is because if you ask it to make even a tiny edit on a slide, what it's really doing is rebuilding an entire web page. They are web pages. And so it takes a bunch of time to edit single slides, and that's one of the drawbacks. But because they put in the little selector where you can edit different parts of the slide, it makes it much quicker. But in this case, it would not do it for that rollover effect. But that's what it's doing. It's going to make that edit, but it's going to rebuild the entire slide, and that slide is actually just code. It's a web page. Now, the problem, we do have limitations, right, with AI. It is kind of still flaky, and so we are doing this live, and we have an error. We cannot get this working, so we can try it again. So there you have it. Jumping back into what we did. So you can choose any of these, right? We chose this here. Product position and presentation, or did we choose product launch presentation? I meant to choose product position and presentation. It doesn't really matter. You still get the concept. You could edit these for whatever types of presentations you commonly use. It picks the principles for specific to that presentation, gives you those guiding principles, and then constructs the prompt. And so we basically did that We showcased an external use case. You can go and impress brands maybe that you were trying to interview for, which I think is a really good example of doing this. But we basically ran a deep research project for Ramp to basically get everything we needed to create a product positioning slide deck for them. So we got all of this information externally, so we don't have any of the internal, but for an app that they just recently launched, this Ramp App Center. And so we have all of this information we're grabbing from deep research, which is pretty incredible. I read through this. It's pretty amazing the context it was able to get externally. And so it had this whole PDF of everything related to that product, everything I needed then to create a presentation. And so then we went and we basically ran the prompt to get a prompt. We ran a prompt to get a prompt. So remember the prompt we ran, the first one, give us this, which is tailored to the type of presentation we want. So now we have the expert frameworks and guiding principles for this product position and deck we want to create. We synthesize those into a structure, and then we get the actual full prompt to be able to create the outline of this deck. And then we ran that outline, we ran that prompt to create the full outline. Let's go here. In Canvas, in ChatGPT Canvas. So when it's in ChatGPT Canvas, then obviously you can edit it because you'll want to edit it. You never want to just copy and paste. We can make any edits we want here. So we did do product launch, which was wrong. We should have done product positioning, but it's all good. We can edit all of this stuff. So we can say the era of connected finance and being awesome. You know what I mean? So again, basically you can edit all of these to however you want. So now you're in here doing your editing, you're creating your slide deck in here, and then I can just go and plug that into GenSpark. And when I plug it into GenSpark, I get this incredible output. And hey, that is your entire presentation created. I suspect it would take you an hour to do something phenomenal, some edits here, some tweaks there, and you have this. How impressive is this going to be for a first draft? Get the team to start to look at it, give you some feedback. Pretty incredible, the speed of execution here if you know how to actually prompt correctly. And so we'll leave. Maybe I'll come back and do the internal example because it does showcase these AI tools and how powerful they are when they have access to your internal data systems. But this is going to take me some amount of time, and it keeps flaking out with some errors, but maybe it will work the next time. And I can do a separate show showing basically these Claude integrations I have set up. Claude basically can integrate with any tools now through MCP, so you can create some pretty great internal presentations based upon data you have internally, and I can come back and show you how to all do that. So that's how you create world-class presentations with 2 prompts in GenSparks and brand style guide. Make sure you plug in whatever brand you're creating the presentation for, plug in their style guide, and there you go. All of that on a single episode of Marketing the Green. Make sure you tune in next time for the #1 channel to get applicable, like actual things you can do with AI, Marketing Against the Grain. Make sure you subscribe to not miss out on any future episodes.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.